Hey everyone, welcome back to Open as we welcome our last guest, who is a painter, philosopher, and poet, Geevanesam. And for short, we're going to call Geevanesam G, right? So G's early love for singing and poetry was later deepened by their discovery of philosophy right here at Lehman College. And G uses art to explore the ever-changing terrain of thought, feeling, and identity. And joining us to share more, we welcome painter, philosopher, and poet, Geevanesam. Hello
I
and
love the
welcome.
rhythm with the way you said my name, I will say.
Say that again.
I love the rhythm with which you said my name.
I said it right?
Yes, you did. Excellent.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has a nice flow
Yes.
once you know how to pronounce it.
Yes, it does.
Does it have a meaning? Because I know you're of Indian descent.
Yes, so I am from South India, a place called Tamil Nadu, and Jeevan means the soul. Like when someone says someone passes, their soul goes up, that's how they say Jeevan. And Nasam means love, but like more like love of learning, love of like passion. So that's what my name means.
Wow,
Yeah.
soul, love of learning.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're a soul that has the love of learning.
Yeah, and I think that name really set me up for the life I have now.
I believe in that.
I do,
I
too.
believe in affirmation. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I named my daughter Tramvida so that her life would be affirmed.
I love that. I love that. I think
Vida
it's
means
important.
life in Spanish.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the words we speak do absolutely have power over how we perceive the world and also the goodness that we invite in. So absolutely.
Yeah, well, I know you're a wordsmith, so this is a wonderful way for us to start this segment. But okay, so let's talk a little bit 1st about your background because you kind of like, even though you have these different talents, they're all weaved together. They
Yes.
all serve each other and they're all incorporated in everything you do.
Absolutely, yes.
So, did you start out as a visual artist first? Or writer
Yes, so that's
first?
why I
Okay.
have painter 1st. I actually always had a hard time with my words. And because also I'm an immigrant, and so learning English, and I was actually the quiet kid, did not speak to, and I was also bullied. And so I always had actually a harder time with words. And I read a lot though. But painting was really the way for me to, I don't have to speak, right? A picture is worth, what, 1,000 words now? So I started off by painting, and I had my father really teach me how to draw because I just had so much energy growing up. We had to repaint the walls of our apartment 5 times because I just started
On the
drawing on the
walls.
walls. Yeah. And
It's
so
a good thing you have patient parents.
No, for real.
Because I don't know if I would have stood, not in my house.
Yeah, no, that definitely came with its challenges, right? Oh man. But ultimately, everything I do is just comes out of this desire to express myself, but also out of the desire to be understood, if not by others, at least by myself.
Right, and so understood is, it's, it sounds like such a simple word, but it's not. Right, because I think that word is the basis in which we start exploring life.
Yes, yes.
Right,
yes.
and it's how we perceive. Right, and so when you do things such as this, right, which I definitely want to talk about your paintings because they say a lot. They say a lot. They say a lot regarding the soul. They say a lot regarding just your relation to life and the universe and your mind. I don't even know how I'm picking that all up. But this particular one, is that a heart?
Yes, and a baby. It's called Amma's Grasp. Amma means mother in my language. And I, alongside a lot of first-generation immigrant children, especially eldest daughter demographic, there's a bit of a trope here. We tend to have complicated relationships with our mother. And I certainly have a very complicated relationship with mine, and I'm very grateful to say that I have a much better one with her now.
Your mother is
yeah.
a huge topic in a lot of your discussions. I got to listen to your podcast, which we'll get into as well. But
Yeah.
I'm listening, and it's lovely that you're able to express it
Yeah, we actually
in a
inherit.
loving manner.
Yes, because we inherit our mother's nervous system, actually. So when I first started learning self-love, which is such a foreign concept for me still, I recognize that it also includes being kind to my mother. Yeah.
Right, because they're usually the fall guy,
Yeah.
for lack of
Yeah.
a better word.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
the punching
Yeah.
bag, right?
Yeah.
Just by default.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not even like whether it's intentional or not. It's like, well, you're there.
Yeah.
You're always going to be there.
And
right.
she was brilliant. She is brilliant. I mean, she gave birth to me while she was finishing up her PhD in genetics. So we're talking like
Oh,
a
talk
legacy
about
set.
yeah, talk about expectations there.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
stepping
so,
in as she's getting
Yeah.
a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so, there's such a fine line between being held and being smothered when it comes to mother-daughter relationships, and that's part of the message behind the painting. Yeah.
Noted. And so this one, yeah. As a mother, I'm like, noted. Yeah. Uh-huh. And this one is very, very fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in the
Tell-
book, it says lost souls, right?
Yes, yes.
And when I first looked at it, I was like, would it be in a book or would it be in a computer? That's the first thing that came to my head.
That's a great question. I think a computer would be even more of a statement. So the way I do art, I like to make statements with my art, but I also like to include things from my personal life. So Lost Souls is actually one of my first artistic collaborations with a writer who wanted me to do his book cover. So that was my way of including that, and that's now he's one of my best friends, so including him in there. But also overall, like I said, I read books as a way to cope. I was breezing through books, like 3 books a week, going to the library, having to get more, getting special permission to get more books. And this is what, even the hunched back that I still deal with it now, this is what most of my childhood looked like in America. And that's how I learned English. That's how I started writing, because it was a way for me to get integrated into this new place I was kind of just thrown into.
Yeah, so I gotta tell you, I'm captivated by it because there's a lot going on in there.
There's death, and then there's creation too, right?
Right.
Because it really did bring life to me to read. And to this day, I read as much as I can because it was a safe place when I didn't have any place.
And so now you're writing.
Yeah, now I'm writing.
And so you have this book,
Yes.
Tell My Cat I'll Be Home Soon. And so what we didn't mention was your cat.
Yes. Oh, man.
Who seems to be like your partner in crime and
pretty much,
everything,
yeah.
and your co-host on your
Yeah.
podcast. Hilarious.
Yeah, I love my cat. I'm just plain cat lady there. But also, she played a huge role in my mental health journey. I got her. She's going to turn 7 on April 17th.
What's your cat's name?
Bat.
Bat, right? Bat the cat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I got her about 7 years ago, and until then, I don't think I really understood a lot of things. And it sounds so silly to really bring it to a cat, but cats, the way they are, they're more sensitive, so they're very aware of your emotional states. And man, ever since I've gotten her, changed my life, and she saved my life certainly many times too. So, and the purring that you may have heard in the podcast.
So
right?
so I didn't get to share with everyone. The name of the podcast is
now it's Office Hours.
Office Hours, right?
Yeah, Office Hours, because Drop Out Philosopher. Yeah.
Right, Drop Out Philosopher.
Yes, so Office Hours by Drop Out Philosopher.
By Dropout Philosophers. And in the podcast, in your sharing, the cat is purring throughout.
She is.
But I thought it was brilliant. I said, oh my gosh, this is so soothing.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a cat lover myself, so I get it, but the way you're paying homage to your cat is really phenomenal. I mean, you've got it. This cat has a book written, with it in mind, with Bat, or she?
She.
Yeah, so she is really being like
She's there with me all
honored.
the time. When I'm in bed, she's laying on my chest. Like, she does not leave my side when I'm home. So she comes with me.
So so she seems to be the foundation of what drives what you're doing with writing and speaking and so forth, whereas your personal life seems to be what drives your artistry, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
what happened here aside from her healing you or being one of your healing mechanisms, right? Or companions, I should say, right? Because they know.
They know.
Yeah,
They know.
they know.
She knows when if I'm, to bring up mom, if I'm having an argument with my mom, she runs over, checks my face to see if I'm okay. It's incredible. They're very intuitive. I, like I said, as an artist, as a performer, and sometimes I'm perceived a certain way. And as I love people, I do love talking to them, but I also grew up very lonely. And that represents that age where I didn't have to be lonely anymore. And even if I didn't have anyone to talk to, I could, talk to her, right? And also, in a way, she taught me to be okay with being alone, because there's so much pressure to just constantly fill your time so you're not focused on the fact that you're alone. And we're not taught how to be in solitude, how to feel safe within your own body and within your own mind. And she represents all of that for me as I started learning, because my mind was not always a safe place for me.
And I appreciate you being transparent here on set and in understanding that you can be life can look a certain way on the outside to people, but inside there's something else really going on. And the fact that you're just speaking freely about it, I think, is a conversation that we need to continue having. We love having these conversations here on set because we're all going through something.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And the idea is to understand that we all deal with it differently, but the main idea is to understand that our goal should be every day to find a way to restore it. Restore the balance that is. Right? And balance looks different for everybody.
Balance looks very different for everyone.
It does. Right. And so before we go, because I know you're going to be presenting for us, but I understand you're also part of the BX Philosopher Circle.
Yes. So, oh man, this whole journey, while it's been about just trying to understand myself and the world around me and the people around me, it led me to philosophy in college. And that is the reason that was like the final piece in what I needed for healing. Also, at the same time, I started seeing my first woman of color psychologist or neuropsychologist. And she was the first to diagnose me with PTSD, rather than just saying, oh, it's a mental illness, it's depression, it's trauma. And so that, along with the philosophy of recognizing we can change. Everyone is capable of change. It's not easy, and most often people don't choose to. But we have, if given the knowledge, if provided the materials, we have capable of change. When we have the community that you build, the community that Lehman builds, when you have all of those pieces, you can change. And that's the essence of what philosophy is. Socrates says that the unexamined life is not worth living, and I live by that. And Socrates also used to do this thing called circles, right? Socratic circles, where anyone, doesn't matter, you don't have to have gone to school for this, because if you think, for whatever reason, you can be a philosopher. And we wanted to invite people in the Bronx, because you think, oh, from the Bronx, what is philosophy? There's no connection, but we live this life. The struggles that the Bronx has overcome, I went to Lehman again, the struggles that I've seen fellow students overcome. I'm currently in workforce development and adult education. The kind of people that come through those doors, going through the worst time of their lives and still choosing to do something better. I want to tap into that, and I wanted to create a community where we can all address the fact that, hey, we're living in a really bad time right now. We're all suffering. And as someone who didn't always want to be alive, I now, to say that I have not only the will to live, but the will to show that it's possible. And even that sometimes just looks like coming up here and having my sleeves out, because we get older. That I was only 10 years old when I started self-harming. And so there was a time I didn't think, I couldn't imagine a future. I didn't think I would get to this age.
So my hairs are standing right now, because you're just speaking so freely. And, and I want to honor that you're in a different place, and not only are you doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other individuals, and how important that circle is, because I know that you need to be in a safe space, and it's all about the language that you're using. Because that's really what's going to determine what you manifest.
Absolutely.
Because in your language and your surroundings is where the declaration is made and the manifestation process is created.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like, thank you for so much for giving me the space to do that too, because it's like, again, if someone can see that, hey, we get older, that there is, even if it doesn't maybe look like what I wish it could, there is a future for me. That is so huge for people, for children.
Well, at some point you decided to just trust the process.
Yeah.
I know, it's a hard thing to do.
It's a hard thing to do, but at some point I also was given the knowledge that this wasn't my fault. Struggling with mental health, struggling with all of these things, it's not a matter of you're doing something wrong or you did something to deserve it. It's like the world that we live in is designed. We weren't supposed to live like this. We weren't supposed to, go and clock in at 9 a.m., clock out at 5. We weren't supposed to, struggle.
No,
right?
That's a whole nother segment.
No, for real,
because,
for real. But the point is,
normal looks different to everybody, right?
But the point is, when the world around you, if your environment is making you sick, that's not you. The environment is.
I hear you.
Right.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And we don't have the time to go into all of that,
Absolutely.
but I'm with you. I'm with you. I see you. I see you, and I appreciate it. So really quickly, when do you guys meet? Because I think it's important.
We do every second Saturday at the Boogie Down Grind, which is a community-owned cafe in Hunts Point, the Bronx. So we'd love to see you there.
The Bronx Philosophy Circle, every second Saturday, 1 to 4 p.m., and everybody's welcome. Yeah. Just know that you're going to be spoken to philosophically.
But hopefully we want to hear from you too.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the idea, is that you surround yourself as such minded individuals. All right, once again, Geevanesam. Well, we're running out of time. We can keep going. But we want to make sure that Geevanesam can perform for you guys. Yes. So don't go anywhere, because they're going to perform for us after the break, and you don't want to miss. Hey everyone, welcome back here now to perform on earth as it is in heaven. Let's give it up for Geevanesam.
I've been told I can't find wonder in green trees and fresh air, a warm home and a child who is loved. And now I know it's because we've built the world on top of what earth has already provided. I've been told not to flinch when the leaves start to wither and the air is filled with garbage, and there are those who prefer a house stay empty over providing shelter, and the worth of a child is determined by her organs and his color. I've been told to look for supernatural signs of seas parted and stones unturned, of sickness healed and dead resurrected, as if the tides don't already answer to the moon. And the ground doesn't break open to create new tombs, as if poison ivy and its antidote don't grow side by side, and we weren't made of stardust before we entered the womb. How marvelous are these wonders that you and I will never touch when I lay on your chest, to see the sun always setting on the west, to learn that your skin regenerates every 27 days, to feel a hand in mine after a long summer day, to learn that a different pattern adorns every finger, to hear the laughter of a child or my friend or my father. How marvelous are these wonders. To eat when you are hungry, to sing when you're happy, to sleep when you are tired, to be held when you are lonely. How marvelous are these wonders. And how sad is it that we've created suffering to justify God's existence. I didn't flinch when they cut down our green trees for gray concrete, when they siphoned the fresh air from our lungs into empty prayers. I believed them when they invaded our homes and questioned our worth, and I stood by as our piety to God came at the cost of our children. I've been told I must endure these evils to gain entrance into heaven. But I realize now it's all been a wager. Because if only God is capable of goodness, then it's acceptable for man to become predator. Then there's no room for wonder. I'm telling you, it's wonderful just to be alive. Or at least it's supposed to be. Our very existence is a statistical anomaly, so I need no religion, no supernatural signs or wonders. Just green trees and fresh air, a warm home and a world safe for children. And maybe someone's hand to hold if I make it into heaven. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
I really was. Thank you.
you.
Geevanesam, everyone. Oh my gosh. Anyway, oh my gosh, that was awesome. All right, so guys, Tell My Cat I'll Be Home is soon available on Amazon. That's the book in my hand. And of course, for more information, you can follow them on Instagram at Dropout Philosopher. That's Geevanesam's Instagram account, Dropout Philosopher.
Yes.
And that's our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through and to your viewers for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out this episode throughout the weekend, 24 hours a day, at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. And it is National Poetry Month, mi gente, and we're still celebrating. Happy National Poetry Month.
Thank
Yay,
you. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
I love this.
I appreciate this. Thank you.